Shavua Tov, everyone. Welcome to a new week with me on the Israel Brief. And in case we haven't met before, I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines every Monday to Thursday. And we do it in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. Now, just a disclaimer before we get into the very exciting news of the day. I am on conference with Wheatso this week, and I will try my utmost best tomorrow to bring you your Israel Brief. We are heading down to the south, so time permitting, logistics permitting, I will bring you your Israel Brief. But if I don't manage to, guys, please forgive me. So let's take a look at those top stories. It is day 472. There are 94 hostages that remain in Hamas captivity. Each day is more and more critical. We want them home now. So let's take a look at the top stories. We begin with yesterday. Israelis awoke to the astounding news that in a clandestine operation conducted over the weekend in Gaza with the IDF and the Shabak, the remains of fallen soldier Doron Shaul were located and brought back to Israel for forensic testing, where it was then confirmed that it was him. A short while ago, he was laid to rest in his hometown of Poriat Illit. Now, this is just extraordinary because Doron, along with Hadar Golden, who we are praying his remains return with this ceasefire deal, Doron and Hadar fell during Operation Protective Edge in 2014 and have been held captive by Hamas for 10.5 years. The president and the prime minister both spoke to Zahava, Doron's mother. His father unfortunately passed away a while ago, and his brother said that this is the closing of a circle. You know, it's part of the Israeli ethos, part of the IDF's ethos, no man left behind. And 10.5 years later, we get to lay Doron of blessed memory to rest. Now, yesterday's news belonged to our 3 returned hostages. So I'm going to walk you through the events of the day. I mean, we are on such a high in Israel, but we are very aware of exactly who we're dealing with Hamas and the terms of the ceasefire, which both Prime Minister Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar have stressed is temporary. So let's take a look at the day as it unfolded. The ceasefire was scheduled to start at 8:30 in the morning. However, the Prime Minister's office announced that we had not received the list of hostages to be released yesterday from Hamas. You know, in Israel, we are running the whole gamut of emotions because what many people don't realize is we don't know in advance who will be released when and where. Those lists are given to the government on the day. And of course, the IDF is on standby waiting to receive the released hostages. The IDF struck targets in the Gaza Strip shortly before the ceasefire eventually went into effect at 11:15 yesterday, after Hamas had submitted the list. Their claims for the delay was technical issues. What they mean by technical issues, we don't know. But the joyous news broke that Emily Damari, Romi and Doron Steinbrecher were coming home. Now, Romi was abducted from the Nova Music Festival on the 7th of October, and Emily and Doron from Kibbutz Kfar Aza in the south. We know that Emily was injured on the day. They shot her dog Choo-Choo, who she was holding in her arms, and 2 of her fingers were shot off. And you could actually see in the photographs of Emily, who has now brought us the sign of resilience, which is this. You can see that her hand is heavily bandaged and she is missing her fingers. But of course, Israel held our collective breath as we watched the day unfold, and around 3 p.m. we got the news that the Red Cross was heading on their way to the point where they would receive the 3 girls and then bring them to the meeting point where the IDF would bring them into Israeli territory. Now, up until we saw the visuals, we had no idea if the girls were alive or if they weren't. So we were, I cannot describe to you the anxiety in Israel and the feeling of relief when we received those first few images of the 3 girls in the back of a van, then handed over to the Red Cross workers. Now, the Red Cross for 472 days have done absolutely nothing for our hostages. They haven't visited, they haven't ensured that they receive their life-saving medicine, nothing. So in the opinion of the people of Israel, the ICRC, or the International Committee of the Red Cross, are nothing but glorified taxi drivers. But the scenes of release were absolutely harrowing. Magically, Hamas have appeared out of their tunnels and have found their freshly dry-cleaned uniforms, which they were wearing with their masks on, and they surrounded the vehicles along with Palestinian civilians and were chanting Kaiba, Kaiba al-Yahud, warning, watch out Jews, the army of Muhammad is coming to kill you, and Idbach al-Yahud, which is Arabic for slaughter the Jews. You could see the 3 girls, and in particular Doron Steinbrecher, like cringing and terrified as she was surrounded by these Hamas men who touched her and pushed her over onto the Red Cross, and then was followed by Emily and Romi. Now, the scene was absolutely just horrendous. Hamas were climbing and jumping on those Red Cross vehicles, which, by the way, is a violation of international law. You are not allowed to display flags or violate in any way a Red Cross vehicle. The Red Cross is essentially politically neutral. However, do we see the Red Cross doing anything to sanction Hamas? They didn't in the last hostage exchange in 2023. The hostages were then taken to a meeting point where they were handed by the Red Cross over to awaiting soldiers, and the footage has circulated. The IDF have shared that footage, and it's just absolutely incredible to see the joy on the faces of both parties as they were handed over and received. They were then transferred to a reception area inside of Israel. Now, the 3 mothers had requested to meet their daughters there and then fly with them to the hospitals who were awaiting their arrival. And they were taken then beautiful pictures released by the IDF spokesman's office, as well as the government press office, of the moms doing what they had dreamed of for 471 days, which is hugging their daughters. I know, especially for our British viewers, Emily Damari has been in your media. Mandy Damari, her phenomenal mother, fighting, as all the hostage families have done and are doing, fighting like lions and lionesses for the release of these hostages. And then they were transported by helicopter to Sheba Medical Center, and we have it on good authority that they are stable. They are still busy running tests. Understandably, the hostage families will not be speaking to media, but we did hear from Mandy Damari, Emily's mother, who said that Emily's in better condition than expected. However, this is the first day. We still have to see the days to follow once the adrenaline wears off, the long path that they will take. One of the hostages, you can see in footage, is limping quite badly in footage that was released today. And then earlier today, the GPO released those images we were all waiting for, which was the joyous reunification with their families. And now we wait for the next batch, and understand, while we are high today, there is still anxiety as we approach who will come out on Sunday. And more about that in our audience member question in a few minutes. The Houthi rebels in Yemen announced earlier today that they will continue to attack ships that are associated with Israel, but they will not attack other ships. In other words, if you're a British ship, if you're a Yugoslavian, there is no Yugoslavia, if you are a Serbian ship, or if you're a different ship, you are fine to travel the Red Sea. If you are an Israel-affiliated ship, you will be attacked. Let's see how long that lasts, because the Houthis on Saturday fired yet another hypersonic, in fact, 2 hypersonic missiles towards Israel. So I don't think we're going to take that or attacks on our ships lying down. And finally, in utter defiance of the ceasefire agreement, which we know there are many, many opinions, and I shared some of my opinions on a brief last week, the Otzma Yehudit faction, the far-right faction headed by Itamar Ben-Gvir, have quit the government, have quit the coalition. It is expected that there will be a reshuffling of the cabinet. So those are top stories, and today's question comes from Caroline in South Africa, who asks, how many hostages are alive or dead, and do we know who will be released next? Now, out of the 33, we've received 3 back. It is believed that 25 of the 33 are still alive, and we don't know who is alive or dead, which of course compounds our anxiety. I just want to stress, we still don't know about the Bibas boys, the little boys, those gorgeous flame-haired little boys, and their beautiful lioness of a mother, Shiri. So we don't know their whereabouts or their status, and we will only know who is to be released on the day that they are scheduled to be released. So it creates so much anxiety. And if we are anxious, could you imagine what those family members are? So thank you, Caroline, for that question. And a reminder, everybody, to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. If you like us, hit that subscribe button, invite your friends to. We are on Meta /Facebook / whatever you want to call it, at LOTLSITE, on X at Lay of the Land 5, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks. And that's it from me for today. Now I've got to change my ending because I'm watching the Jerry Springer documentary, and he says take care of yourselves and each other. So I don't want to seem like I'm copying Jerry. So I'm just going to say, guys, God bless you all, with much love from me here in Israel to all of you out there. Bye for now.